In the halls of justice, where shadows fall, we're breaking down barriers, answering the call. Voices of the silenced echo through the night. We shine the light on truth, making wrongs right. Justice, watch, we see it clear. Overviewing the system, no need to fear. Breaking down the laws, talking truth all day. On Justice Watch, shall we pave the way? From the court to the street, every...
Judge. Good afternoon. Could you please state your name for the record?
Shannon Jones.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the City of Detroit Police Department.
And are you assigned to a special unit or division?
Yes.
And what is that?
I'm assigned to homicide, missing persons unit.
And how long have you been employed in that role?
I've been at missing persons since 2013.
And before that, where were you at?
Patrol.
Okay, and how long were you there?
I've been on the department for a total of 24 years.
Okay.
So throughout the prior years to missing persons, I had various assignments.
And what is your role in this case?
I'm the officer in charge.
What does it mean to be an officer in charge?
So I'm in charge of reviewing all the evidence and spearheading the investigations, looking into all the facts and possible suspects and information that's brought to the case and to compile it together.
Okay. And what would be some common duties that you would do in partaking those roles?
When it comes to missing persons, specifically those type of cases?
Yes.
So a missing person case, when someone's reported missing, we always go out to the home, search the home, talk to family, and try to get a good timeline of when that person was last seen, their common habits, where they are supposed to be, has any patterns changed, are they not going to school and not going to work. If the investigation leads us to believe that that person may be in danger or that there's something more to just not coming home, then we start pulling different video and try to look into cell phone data or friends or associates of that specific missing.
And in particular, have you investigated what would be known as a no-body case before?
Yes.
Okay, and what does it mean to be a no-body case?
That would be a missing person that we have come to the conclusion is a victim of a homicide. However, we were unable to locate or recover the body.
Okay, and how does that kind of investigation differ, if at all, from another investigation that you would do?
It's a little tougher. You need to go through and kind of be able to show and establish that this person is no longer with us today. When you have a body, it's obvious, then you can come to the conclusion and work your case that way. So on a no-body case, you're trying to find any signs of life, any evidence to show that there might have been some possible danger or some assault that may have happened to this person.
Now, I'm sorry, when did you get the case of Na'Ziyah Harris?
So it was first requested to me on February 12th. I received the email, which just kind of asked me to look into the case. It wasn't at our building yet or at our department. I looked into the case and I saw that DPS was initially assigned the case, and I had reached out to Lieutenant Harris from DPS to kind of ask for an update on where they were, kind of see how the case was progressing and any evidence that they may have had.
Okay. So after that, how did it come about that you got this case?
So after meeting and discussing with Lieutenant Harris and reviewing the different things, it was determined that there had been enough suspicious possible things connected to her being gone. Number one, she's never been missing before. There's been no updates on any of her social media, which is very uncommon for a young child or juvenile. They're addicted to those. There had been a last known contact that she had possibly met somebody, is what we were informed, that there was a text message for her to be picked up, and that would have been the same day that she went missing.
So, when you first officially received this case, tell me, what is it that you do right off the bat?
So this case was a little different because we kind of had to go back. We were already a month behind. She went missing January 9th, and now it's February 12th. We start kind of looking into what has already been done and then what steps I would normally take moving forward.
Okay. So, what kind of steps do you take moving forward?
So once I reviewed the case, and it was determined that the last person that had contact with Na'Ziyah was Jarvis Buds, I then started to look into his phone records, his activity, places that he had been. On the 12th, we had determined there was already an analyst that had looked at different records and given us a location out in Ypsilanti. So I coordinated a search for the very next day, on February 13th. We went out to Ypsilanti. We conducted the search. It's a large area, and it wasn't pinpointed down to a specific house. There was a lot of wooded area over there. We had multiple teams out there. There was probably over 60 people at one point. We then started going into different businesses to look for different video that we may be able to recover close to the intersection that we believed would be a good starting point in that search area.
And did you recover, or were you able to recover anything or find anything from the Ypsilanti area?
We did find some video that was eventually pulled from a gas station.
And what was, I guess, the condition of that video?
So the video is from a gas station. It shows the intersection, I believe it's Michigan and Carpenter, which is actually, I think that is like a Springfield township. It's kind of like a little small city just outside of Ypsilanti. At that point, we didn't know exactly what we're looking for, so we just kind of pulled like the window that we knew the devices were out there, specifically Jarvis Butt's device that was out there. So we kind of just pull all of that video before we lose it. And then as we gather more information, we can kind of go back and look at the video to see if there's something now that we can focus in on what we should look for.
Okay. Now, that brings up a good point. You said you're a month behind on this investigation.
Yes.
So, that, fair to say, being a month behind would cause you to potentially lose critical pieces of evidence.
Yes.
Okay, and some of those pieces of evidence, fair to say, could be videos.
Correct.
Okay. Why would it be that you would be losing those videos?
So most video systems, and every business is different. You got green light, you have businesses and people that have their own residential cameras or property cameras, and it'll vary. Some of them start overwriting in 48 hours, some of them is a week, some may last up to a month. It just depends on how large their system is and how much data it can hold.
And is that a struggle that you encountered in this case?
Yes.
Okay. And where is it that you encountered that?
So there's several cameras and videos throughout the entire route of travel that later in the investigation we were able to identify. But as we identified those locations and went to see if video was still able to be there, it had already been overwritten or was not available.
Okay. Now, I want to take you back. You did the search in Ypsilanti. Did you do any other searches kind of immediately at that time?
Yes.
Tell me about one of them. We're going to go through them, but start with one of them.
Okay. So after we didn't find anything in Ypsilanti, I kind of got to go backwards a little bit and go back to who we had known was the last contact with her, which was Mr. Butts. So we did a search warrant for his home. Later, I believe it was like later that night, 13th into the 14th, we had kind of worked all the way through.
Okay.
We did a search warrant to obtain his cell phone so we could try to do an extraction. We contacted the jail to look through his property. There was no cell phone in the property. We then ordered the jail calls to see if there was any conversations, anybody that he had talked to. We knew that he had turned himself in on February 7th. As we started to listen to those jail calls, there was a call where he had asked his shop partner, Cordell Wright, to retrieve a phone out of a vehicle. We then went and picked up Mr. Wright and brought him down to our headquarters to talk to him about the cell phone. He did confirm and he acknowledged the phone call. He said that vehicle came up there was a Tahoe, Tashi's vehicle, Tashiana, and that he had looked in the back seat and tried to find where the phone was that Mr. Butts kind of described where he had hid it in this vehicle. He said that he was unable to locate it. So at that point, we then did a workup on Tashiana to find out where she lived, what type of vehicle she had. It matched the description that he kind of described. We did a search warrant for her home in an attempt to locate the cellular device and any other possible evidence that may help us and direct us to where Na'Ziyah is.
Okay. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit. You started off with you went to do a search warrant at Mr. Butts' home.
Yes.
And would that be the one on Wilshire?
Yes.
Okay. And did you find anything at his house?
Yes.
And what is it that you found?
So from his home, we had recovered, there were some electronic devices. We recovered some phones, maybe a tablet, and we recovered his ID, wallet, and a firearm that was with his wallet. I believe there was 2 actual firearms, and then there was a long gun, a rifle that was in the closet.
Okay. And did that search warrant include a vehicle?
Yes.
And what kind of vehicle did it include?
It included all vehicles that we believe may be associated. At that time, we impounded a Cadillac Escalade.
Now, you said at that point you knew that Mr. Butts had turned himself in is it the Wayne County Jail?
Yes.
And that was back on February 7th of 2024?
Correct.
And at that time, did you know how long he was serving a sentence for?
We had got information that he was possibly going to be there till December.
Okay. And that would be completely unrelated to, that sentence is completely unrelated to your investigation?
Yes.
Okay. And then you said that you had pulled some jail calls, and that's what led you to Cordell Wright.
Correct.
And that that jail call that you had listened to, that was previously admitted as People's Exhibit 1?
Yes.
Okay. And that led you to Tashiana Davis.
Correct.
And then you subsequently executed a search warrant at her house.
Correct.
And is that on Neff Street?
Yes.
Okay. And she had a vehicle there that matched the description that Cordell Wright had given you?
Yes.
Okay. And would that have been a Chevy Suburban?
Yes.
Okay. And then you subsequently searched that vehicle?
Yes.
And what is it that you found in that vehicle?
I found in that vehicle a iPhone 11, and it was in the exact area that Mr. Butts had described to his shop partner Cordell, where it would be located.
Okay. And that phone, okay, so ultimately, after you do that, what's the next step that you took?
Well, we had to identify that was the actual correct phone. It was in the right place, but we still needed to get it to our headquarters and download it. We had the phone there. We made a call to 911 from that phone in order to see what the identification number was to try to verify, so we weren't just taking random phones. It did come back to Jarvis Butt's phone number that we were looking for. The phone was then placed on evidence and taken to our base.
And what's the next thing that you did after that?
So after that, the phone now is getting processed under the search warrant.
Okay.
It is given to, was given to Detective Markle, where she processed that. We then continued, we had searched the residence on Wilshire, we had searched Neff, we also executed a search warrant at 9000 Connor.
And what's 9000 Connor?
9000 Connor is the location that was identified that Jarvis Butts worked at with his shop partner.
Okay. And did you find anything or anything at 9000 Connor?
We did take some things as evidence. There was a lot of activity going on, so I had multiple different units from within our homicide squad assisting me with different search warrants that we were executing. I believe it was the Northeast squad actually executed the Connor location search warrant. They were advised of some items to look for, obviously children's clothing. We had been given a description of a Rugrats jacket with a fur hood. We were given the clothing description. At that time, we were told that the shoes were possibly blue and white Nike shoes that we had been looking for. There was an area in the shop, as I reviewed the evidence, photos where there's like children's coloring books and maybe things that when the children are there that they're using.
Were any interviews besides the one with Cordell Wright taking place at this time?
So at that time, I had interviewed, when we went to Wilshire, we had interviewed the woman that he lives with. I don't know if that's a fiance or girlfriend, but that was Miss Angel. We interviewed her there. Tashiana was in the hospital when we had executed the search warrant at her house. I had had a conversation with her on the phone while we were there. Her children were there. I scheduled an interview for her later. I believe it might have been like the next day or two later that she came down to headquarters. We had interviewed Cordell at that time, and now we're just kind of going through everything that we had at that moment to try to take the next steps.
Okay. When about is Mr. Butts interviewed for the first time?
So he was interviewed, we got it, looked at it on the 12th, the 13th, we executed all the search warrants. On the 14th, Mr. Butts, I believe it was the 14th, he was brought down to headquarters, or the 15th. I would have to look.
Okay, and that's okay. So it'd be just a couple days after you get the case?
Yes.
Okay. Now, based on Mr. Butts' first interview, which your Detective Mays here testify about, did you do anything based off of that interview?
So based on that interview, we had obtained the text now, which was turned over to us from DPS, which was the initial, I believe it was like maybe 1 week's worth of text now, so like the very end of December into the 1st of January. So during that interview was when it was asked by Detective Mays and Detective Johnson regarding the text message about meeting to be picked up.
Okay. Now, if you know, can you estimate about how many search warrants did you execute?
Probably over 20. And throughout the entire, it has to be over 20.
Okay. And what kind of searches were done in this case in general?
So we searched, as far as like land searches.
All kinds.
All kinds. Well, we searched Ypsilanti as we did our workup, and we're looking at different locations that Mr. Butts had been to. We identified an area out in Clinton Township that he had gone out to back and forth before, and that was an area that Shannon Harris, his child's mother, had lived at. So this was kind of like a route out there, and we located, there was like a big retention pond out there. So that was another place that we had dive teams come out. We had the helicopter, the cadaver dogs, and we searched out in Clinton Township. As we start breaking down the phone mapping a little bit more on Mr. Butt's phone, it kind of led us to 7 Mile and Berg.
And what's out in 7 Mile and Berg?
So 7 Mile and Berg, there is a vacant parking lot on the southwest corner. It used to be a golf course. So the entire south side of 7 Mile, from Berg and then heading back east, used to be a golf course, which is now shut down. And then on the other side of Berg, there's a parking lot where it has like a vacant building, which used to be the clubhouse for the golf club. And then right behind that parking lot is the Rouge River.
And when's the first time that you get out to 7 Mile and Berg?
We went out once. It was probably maybe a couple weeks later that we went out there. We went out there once. I remember it had snowed. So when we went out there, it wasn't as easy to search. We're kind of looking if somebody was just placed out there or if something was easily identifiable, but because of the snow, we knew that we were going to have to come back again once that melted because it'd be easier to see underneath.
Okay. And so do you go out there again?
Yeah, we've been out there multiple times. I've probably been out there 7, 8 times, all with various dive teams. We searched the complete river from 8 Mile all the way down past 96 on foot with cadaver dogs, in boats, in the water. There's several log jams. We had state police actually had their helicopter fly the entire route so we could GPS all the log jams. We had to coordinate with specialized teams to come in to help cut these log jams apart, which go throughout the river. And then throughout the season, obviously we had some rain, so the water goes up and down, which now brings the debris onto the land, so you have to actually search the land a couple hundred feet in some places that the water has pulled debris. We searched the homes, as I said, searched the vehicles.
All right. So when you're out there at 7 Mile and Berg, do you have an idea of what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the idea of what you're looking for?
So initially when we were out there, again, we had the clothing description. We had the picture of her that she had sent that night or that day that she went missing on the night. So we were looking for the black hoodie. We were looking for, again, initially we were told blue and white gym shoes.
Now, is there a time where that changes?
Yes.
Okay. And what is it that makes that change?
So as we go out to areas and search, when we leave, a lot of times large community groups may go out there, right? And they saw that we were at 7 and Berg, and I know people come out there to help. There was a group that had been out there and they were recording and they saw a pair of Nike shoes, which were the red and black. We were alerted of those on our initial search. It's documented in our river search report. But because we weren't focused on the red and black and we were looking for blue and white Nike shoes, we left them there, but we did GPS the coordinates.
Stop you there. That would have been Border Patrol Agent Wyatt Barnes.
Yes.
Okay, you heard his testimony.
Yes.
All right. So continue.
Yeah. So on our initial search, we knew they were out there. The pink hoodie was identified, but we didn't collect them because, again, we didn't have anything about a pink hoodie or a pink onesie, and the shoes weren't matching. And there's a lot of clothing out there. There's a lot of shoes out there. There's people's clothes. There's all type of debris. So I can't collect every single piece of clothing and article that we find. Later, I get the information that as the search team is out there, they had called 911 because they saw these shoes. And they posted a picture of these shoes somewhere or sent it to Na'Ziyah's brother. Na'Ziyah's brother then reached out to me and he sent me a picture of Na'Ziyah wearing the black and white Nike shoes.
Okay.
Once I saw she had the exact same shoes on, that are depicted, that were described out there. I knew immediately where to go. I gathered a couple members of my team and we immediately went back out to where the shoes were GPS located and recovered the shoes. As we were there, that's when we found the black hoodie and then the pink jumpsuit that had been laid out by Agent Wyatt.
Okay. Now, as it relates to those red and black Nike shoes, you had a photo that they were associated with Na'Ziyah in some way. Did you ever end up asking Annette to see if those shoes were still in Na'Ziyah's possessions?
Yes.
Okay. And did you ever end up recovering those pairs from Annette?
No.
So, after you recover the pink jumpsuit, the black hoodie, the shoes, what do you do with them?
Those are all, well, the evidence techs collect them. They're placed on evidence. Those items were wet, so I had to wait, obviously, for them to dry. Once they're ready to be processed and they're finished drying, then I create a lab report. And items are selected and turned over to the state police lab for processing to look for any type of DNA evidence.
Okay, so once those are placed on evidence by the lab tech, you're the one who then submits them to Michigan State Police?
Yes.
Okay.
There may be some of the lab reports where I had gathered the evidence and one of my partners had gone down and physically took the items to the lab, which is all in the same building.
Okay. Now, I believe you said at least one time when you were out at 7 Mile and Bury that it had been snowing. Were you at all, I guess, familiar with kind of the weather back, let's start with back in January 9th?
Yeah, so I searched it. There's a weather site where you can search the dates in the cities and what the weather was like. On the 9th into the 10th, it had rained here. If you remember, we had a very mild winter. In 2024, the January months, we had a lot of rain that month, which would have caused, the water levels to rise.
Now, is there, did you interview a Tijuana Butts?
Yes.
Tell me how that came about.
Tijuana actually reached out to me. Shannon Harris had reached out to me. She had had a conversation with Tijuana. She asked if it was okay for her to give her my phone number. I told her that that was fine. She gave me a call. She said that she was the sister of Jarvis Butts and that she was concerned that she may have seen Na'Ziyah but wasn't sure on the date and if she could come down and talk.
Okay, and that's all what she had testified to that you had heard?
Yes.
Okay. Now, when you also heard that she had given Detroit police consent to look at her phone locations and perform a phone extraction.
Yes.
And that Detective Sarah Markle is actually the one who performed that extraction.
Yes.
Okay. Did you yourself look at the phone location data that was on Tijuana's phone?
Yes, so even before we extracted the phone, when she was in there in the interview, she had given me consent to look at her phone. She wasn't quite sure how to get to the locations. She had Google on her phone, so we went to the Google Maps, went to her timeline, and then specifically clicked on January 9th to see if it showed her route. When we got to the January 9th date, it was confirmed that that is the date that she was at 9000 Connor. And it helped us with the timeline of when she was there compared to when we know Mr. Butts left that location to head out to Ypsilanti on the 9th.
And Your Honor, may I approach People's Proposed Exhibit 85?
Yes.
I mean 58. Sorry,
Yes.
numbers. Handing it's marked as People's Proposed Exhibit 58. Can you look at that and tell me if you recognize it?
Yes, this is a Cellbrite extraction report that was conducted by Detective Markle for Tijuana Butts cellular device.
Okay. And that report specifically includes the location data in the subsequent pages as it relates to Ms. Butts' call. Is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the screenshot photo locations, location data from Tijuana Butts' phone that you observed that the day when you interviewed her?
Yes.
I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 58.
No objection.
It would be in the People's 58.
And I want to direct you to I guess it's going to be page 3 of the report, both 4 of the report. Let's see, page 5. Where does it say that Ms. Butts was from 3:45 p.m. to 5:16 p.m.?
So it gives the location described, it's on here, it says Citgo, and it gives the address of 9000 Connor Street, Detroit, Michigan, 48213.
And do you know Mr. Butts' 9000 Connor auto shop to be connected with a gas station?
Yes.
Okay. Now, to go back just a little bit, you said you were kind of going through all the phone mapping in order to kind of backtrack as to where your investigation goes and where you should search.
Yes.
And those maps were testified to by Sergeant O'Rourke.
Yes.
Okay. Now, she mapped certain locations, and she stated that you had given her some of those locations to map.
Correct.
Okay. Now, I want to direct you to, in People's Exhibits 33, 34, Mayor, may I approach? The blue dot here, what is it that indicates, and what is the importance of that?
This blue dot is going to be 9000 Connor.
Okay. And that's the address associated with Mr. Butts' auto shop?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the same for Exhibit 34?
Yes.
Okay. And Exhibit 35, there's the same blue dot and then a purple dot. Tell me, what is the significance of the purple dot?
The purple dot is going to be the residence that Mr. Butts resides at on Wilshire.
Okay. And in Exhibit 36, on page 2, there's like another, it's like a pinkish kind of purple dot. Can you tell me what is, red dot. What does the red dot indicate?
The red dot is going to identify 20,000 Harper, which was the Park Crest Motel.
There's like another, it's like a pinkish kind of purple dot. Can you tell me what is, red dot. What does the red dot indicate?
The red dot is going to identify 20,000 Harper, which was the Park Crest Motel.
And on page 4 of 4, there is a lighter purple dot along with that red dot. What does the purple dot indicate?
That dot is going to indicate 4 East Alexandrine.
Okay, and what's the significance of 4 East Alexandrine?
Mr. Butts has a different girlfriend that lives at that location.
And in People's 38, there's a red dot. Which dot is that?
That would identify 7 Mile and Berg.
Okay. And is that the same 7 Mile and Berg? You tell me. What was found at 7 Mile and Berg area again?
7 Mile and Berg area is where we identified the hoodie, the pink jumpsuit, and the shoes. And it's also the area that Mr. Butt's phone was mapping with. There's an additional search area that I did not include when she had asked me before, and that was where the ID was found. We had found the ID, or received the 911 call for the ID before we went back the second time out for the shoes at 7 Mile and Berg. So we had also searched all the Evergreen. There's the Henry Ford High School over there. We searched behind the school, the wooded areas, and all the vacant homes in that surrounding as well.
And that would have been the ID that Miss Smith had recovered.
Yes.
Okay. Now I want to go into, you had a chance to go through Mr. Butt's phone extraction, is that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And did you also do a search warrant as it relates to a Google account for Mr. Butt's?
Yes.
Okay. And how was it that you knew what his Google Gmail was?
That was documented when I went through the cell phone.
Okay. And you got a chance to go through, or you sent a search warrant to Google for it, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you got a chance to go through that search warrant return?
Yes.
Okay, and that's the search, or that's the Gmail account that would be associated with Mr. Butts.
Correct.
And now may I propose exhibit 63?
Yes.
Handing you Mark, if you propose exhibit 63, can you tell me, do you recognize what it is I just handed you?
Yes, this contains jarvisbutts82@gmail.com, which was his Google subscriber information.
And that's the first page. And the second page is, what would those include?
The next pages include searches that I located inside that Google return that we received from Google.
Okay. And does that document fairly and accurately depict what it is you received back from Google as it relates to a search warrant for jarvisbutts82@gmail.com?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit. I forgot. 63.
Any objection?
No objection.
It'll be admitted as People's 63.
Okay. And I want to go back to the first page and use it with the subscriber information. Tell me, who is the subscriber?
So it has a Google account ID number, then it gives a name that says Jarvis Butts. It has an email address, jarvisbutts82@gmail.com. There's also a phone number that's connected to it, which is 313-585-8719.
And is there a birthday associated with that?
Yes, November 21st, 1982.
And moving on to the searches, what dates do those searches encompass?
These searches are December 9th,
Of what year?
yep, December 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2023.
Okay. And it's fair to say that those are the entirety of all of the searches from those days.
It is not all of them,
Okay.
no.
Those are just select ones from the Google return.
Yes.
All right. Starting with December 9th, tell me which ones that we have in that exhibit.
So the first, you want me to read the ones that are just highlighted, or you want me to start at the top of here? So,
The ones that are highlighted.
okay.
Just start with the ones that are highlighted.
Yep, so this search was December 9th, 2023 at 3:32 UTC time. So you would actually have to subtract 5 hours, which would make it the night of December 8th. And the site is, what's visited, it's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the Herbal Abortion Tea by Maya.
Okay. And what about the next one after that?
There is a site that's visited on December, it says here December 10th, 2023 at 9:32 p.m. UTC, so -5. And the site visited is plannedparenthood.org/learn/abortion/the abortion pill.
And
next-
yes, the next
The
one.
next search is immediately after that, so December 10th at 9:32 p.m. UTC, the abortion pill, get the facts about medication abortion. There is a search that was conducted before that on December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC. And that site is plannedparenthood.org /blog/can I use herbs to have an abortion at home.
And the next
The
one?
next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC. Can I use herbs to have an abortion at home? Planned Parenthood.
And the next one?
The next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. UTC, so again, -5 hours. And that site is, it's ansirh.org, research, over-counter medication abortion. Search December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. Over-the-counter medication abortion, and that's from that same place before, ANSIRH. December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, abortion, the abortion pill. How do I have an abortion using only misoprostol, misoprostol. The next search, December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, learn abortion, the abortion pill. So it's like the same, back and forth to the same site. On December 11th, at 11:43 p.m. UTC, so -5 hours. Specifically is searched is, can I drink red antifreeze? Again, that same item is searched again right after the same time, 11:43 on December 11th, 2023. And I believe that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Now, in that phone extraction that you went through of Mr. Butts, that Detective Markle had admitted, were you able to go through, and I know you had mentioned there was a Text Now app and Text Now phone numbers that
Yes.
have been associated with Na'Ziyah.
Yes.
When you went through Mr. Butt's phone extraction, did you find any of Na'Ziyah's Text Now numbers?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall if what was on his phone? First of all, did you eventually do a search warrant for Text Now?
Yes.
Okay, and did you receive messages back from Text Now?
Yes, so the initial Text Now messages, again, DPS had done those and they had only gone back like a week. I had another search warrant submitted to Text Now and requested to go back to January 1st of 2023.
Okay. And when you found these text and messages on Mr. Butt's phone, did those include all of the messages that you got back from Text Now, or just only parts?
It's all the messages through Text Now that were to that number that was assigned that Na'Ziyah was using on Text Now.
That's what you got back from Text Now?
Yes.
But I'm talking about on Mr. Butt's phone.
Oh, Mr. Butt's phone specifically was just the messages from Text Now between him and Na'Ziyah.
Okay, and did it include everything that you received back from Text Now, or?
No.
Okay. And Senator, may I approach?
Yes.
Approaching with Nichols, proposed exhibits 46 and 47. Can you tell me, in exhibit 46, do you recognize what I handed you?
Yes, this is a extraction report for a iPhone, and it was for phone number account 313-585-8719. And this is the section in that extraction about messages.
Okay. And is that exhibit, proposed exhibit 46, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that were on Jarvis Butt's phone between his phone number and the number 213-743-3173?
231, yes. 231.
Yes, 231.
Yes.
Sorry, numbers. 231-743-3137.
Yes,
Okay. And those are the ones that you had seen on Mr. Butt's phone.
correct.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 46.
No objection.
It'll be admitted as equals 46.
And those cover a period of October 7th, 2023 through November 23rd of 2023. Is that fair?
Yes,
Okay. And now I want to show you proposed exhibit 47. Do you recognize what I handed you in 47?
yes, this is another extraction from the phone, and this is under the message section.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the messages that you went through on Mr. Butt's phone to the number 313-379-5882?
Yes,
Okay. And I would move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit 47.
No objection, Your Honor.
It'll be admitted as equals 47. Can you repeat that phone number?
313-379-5882.
Thank you.
Thank you. And those would be from the date period of September 26th, 2022 to September 30th, 2022.
yes,
And now I want to show you what's already been admitted as people's exhibits 15 and 16. And these were already admitted. These are certified copies of Text Now messages. So I want to talk specifically about subscriber information within them. In People's 15, is there a a subscriber as it relates?
Yes.
Okay, and who is that subscriber?
Excuse me, you need to let me hear. I can't hear you with your back turned.
Okay, so is there a subscriber as it relates to that?
Yes.
Who is that?
The username on here is Na'Ziyah Harris 955.
And are you familiar with the Na'Ziyah Harris?
Yes.
And how is it that you're familiar with her?
That is Na'Ziyah's biological mother.
And is there, on the next page, is there a phone number that is associated with that account? It might be on the subscriber information too.
Yes.
And what is that phone number?
It's 313-379-5882.
And what is the period of usage for which the subscriber Na'Ziyah Harris had that phone number?
The phone ownership is from September 24, 2022 through November 8, 2022.
I'll recognize these right now. And for the subscriber information in People's 16, can you tell me who is the subscriber there?
The subscriber here, the username is Na'Ziyah Harris 74.
And is there a phone number associated with that?
Yes.
What is that phone number?
231-743-3137.
Okay. And is there a phone ownership date period for that?
Yes.
What's that date period?
January 1st, 2024 to February 6th, 2024.
Okay. Are you familiar with the location of 17500 East Warren Avenue in the city of Detroit?
Yes.
And Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Somebody's already admitted. And I'm showing you people's 4, 5, and 6 already admitted. How is it that you're familiar with that location?
This is Frank's Auto Repair. It's located on Warren, right at Neff, 17500 East Warren. This is a location that Jarvis Butts worked at prior to working at 9000 Connor.
And that's in the city of Detroit, Wayne County?
Yes.
Now, did you yourself, I want to go into the interviews with Mr. Butts.
Yes.
Did you interview Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Okay. I want to start with an interview back on May 31st, 2024. Do you see the person that you interviewed in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Can you point to him, tell me the color of the clothing that he's wearing?
Yes, he's sitting behind his defense counsel. He's wearing a face mask and he has the Wayne County green jumpsuit on.
Okay. And Your Honor, would the record reflect that when it says identified defendant Jarvis Butts? And we've been talking this whole time about a Jarvis Butts. Is that the same Mr. Butts in the courtroom today?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this interview back on May 31st, 2024, where was that at?
That was at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay. And who was all there?
Myself and Sergeant Lance Sullivan.
And do you recall about what time this interview took place?
It was in the afternoon,
Okay. About how long did this interview last?
like 2-3 hours.
Okay. And was Mr. Butts, did you ask him about his education and speaking English, things like that?
Yes.
And did you offer him any food or drink?
I believe at one point we had asked him about if he needed some water because we had been there a minute.
Okay. And did you read Mr. Butts his constitutional rights?
I believe Sergeant Sullivan went through those with him.
Okay. And was something used to assist in the reading of those rights?
Yes.
Okay. And Journal, may I approach?
Yes.
Handing you with smart as people proposed exhibit 26. You tell me what it is I just handed you.
So this is the Detroit Police Department constitutional rights, advice and rights form.
And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the one that was executed back on May 31st, 2024 with Mr. Butts?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 26.
No objection, Your Honor.
It will be admitted as People's 26.
Thank you. And did Mr. Butts, did he sign or initial acknowledging his rights?
Yes, he read them and he initialed them and he signed.
Okay. And did he agree to speak with you two?
Yes.
Okay. And I would pass for voluntariness.
Sergeant Jones, you came to interview my client on May 31st, correct?
Yes.
It was you and you said Sergeant Sullivan?
Yes.
Were you aware he was represented by counsel at that time?
Yes.
In fact, did one of you call his counsel and ask for permission to interview him?
On that date?
Not on that date, prior to that date.
Several months before, yes.
In April 17th, in fact, right?
I don't have the exact date, but it was a couple months before that.
And the words used were under no circumstances, right?
Under no circumstances
May
to...
you interview Mr. Butts?
Well, that's not true.
You were not told you could not interview Mr. Butts?
Judge, I would object. This is a legal argument. Only the client themselves can enforce their right. A defense attorney cannot enforce their right to remain silent.
I just asked a question. Was she told not to? She couldn't interview him?
So,
1 second, Warren. Were you getting ready to say something else?
And it has nothing to do with this interview.
If we're talking about voluntariness, I want to see, was she aware that he had a right to have his counsel? They contacted his counsel. His counsel told them, no, do not interview him. That's my...
You're saying this had nothing to do with this interview that you're speaking
Yeah.
of?
This was 2 months prior. That was not this day. This was completely separate. And a defense attorney cannot invoke their client's right to remain silent. That's just the end of it.
It's true.
So, you and your partner went to speak to Mr. Butts, correct?
yes,
You took him... Where did you interview him from? At?
at the Wayne County Jail.
Okay. Did you interview him on the... This was at... Forgive me. At Division 1?
Yes.
Baird. Did you interview him on his floor, or did you take him somewhere else?
I don't know where his floor is, so Wayne County had prepared a room for us to be able to interview him.
Okay, so you took him to another room, and you and your partner interviewed him,
Yes.
and you gave him his constitutional rights, and you did not give him food or water, correct?
Correct.
You don't know what time of day this was?
Well, I just saw the form here, so I see it's about 1 in the afternoon.
Okay. Were you aware that he was working at the jail?
There had been a conversation that he was given some small duties, but that it had been taken away from him.
Okay, do you know if he had worked that day?
That I do not recall.
Okay, and do you know if he had actually been to sleep prior to you visiting him?
When we talked to him, he didn't seem sleepy.
Do you know if he had anything to eat prior to you visiting him?
He did not complain about being hungry.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to pass voluntariness.
Quickly.
Thank you, Judge. Now, this interview with Mr. Butts on May 31st, 2024, was that recorded in any way?
Yes.
And how was it recorded?
It was recorded with a body-worn camera from the Detroit Police Department that were issued, and it was also recorded on a audio recording for voice only.
Okay. So it was audio and video on the body cam and then also just
Yeah, so
audio?
two different factors.
Okay. So, and it's fair that you had seen this video prior to today?
Yes.
Okay. And when you saw that video from May 31st, 2024, was that video a fair and accurate depiction of the video interview that took place?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 27.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's Exhibit 27.
Thank you. And for the audio, did you have a chance to prior listen to that?
Yes.
And was that audio a fair and accurate depiction of the audio that was recorded from the interview back on May 31st, 2024?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 28.
Any objection?
No objection.
It will be admitted as People's 28.
Thank you, Judge. And you also interviewed him, well, let's go with the 31st. Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
Thank you. And I made clips this time. I'm not going to play the entire video. And for the record, this is from Exhibit 26, and it's clip 1.